have struggled since construction began, and even before construction began, with the narrative being this is going to be awful.
There's going to be a loss of business. People avoid construction areas.
When there is a big community disruption like construction, there's all this attention, but there's really nothing to cover other than the construction. And the only narrative there is, gosh, this is really hard. This really sucks. People are angry about this. Look at this big trench.
If you think navigating the construction around Washington and University Avenue is a pain,
it's just too difficult to get here.
try owning one of these establishments.
People are going to move and businesses are going to fail and jobs are going to disappear.
So we just braced ourselves for every couple of months there would be a negative story about how hard it was.
Before we go, benches are not just for sitting anymore. A new one in St. Paul is proving they can be musical too. Sculptor Susan Solars created this bench made out of 270 PVC pipes.
Suddenly the stories started being about something else, and the stories started being about the Irrigate project.
Local artists like Blaine Garrett and Charles Denton find ways for you to escape. Call it a 36 by 7 foot piece of peace.
They were about this interesting, unusual, fun, weird project happening in the parking lot of Frogtown Square, happening inside my village, happening at Arnella's, happening at the Black Dog. And all of a sudden we kind of realized, oh, this is the thing. Like, this is what, it's the projects and the artist and the community member who build a relationship. It's the people who attend that project, but then the thousands of people who are reading about these projects, who might not even go to that weird project, you know, in the parking lot, but who think, oh, something interesting happening in Frogtown.
Wow, there's really cool stuff going on the Central Corridor. There's this great business, and there's this great art show, and there's da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's helped shift the way people see the corridor, this idea of the narrative.
Generally when we're in the news, it's because something bad happened. And I think more and more we're seeing, oh, here's this exciting art project that's happening. The more that we see those kinds of things, the more it influences the neighborhood, like getting people thinking about the neighborhood as a positive space and thinking other people thinking about it as a positive space where they can come, they can spend their money, they can, find a home, like all of those kinds of things.
They weren't from the arts reporters necessarily, some of them were, but they were also from the traffic guy, and they were from the person that covers local issues, and they were from the neighborhood newspaper, and it was like all these different points of view, because that's where that was the hook for them, right? It was like, oh, wait, here's a business reporter talking about an arts project, or here's a traffic reporter talking about an arts project, or here's, a neighbor reporter talking about the arts project, not just the arts people.
So this market research firm was able to look at all of that and say 30 million positive media impressions were generated from these projects. Cities and neighborhoods that go through disruption spend real money on branding and marketing all the time. And so we can actually look at those numbers and compare them to what you would get if you paid for ads in the newspaper about neighborhood businesses and reasons to come to a place. That media narrative is important for the people who don't live in the neighborhood to read, and it's also important for the people who do live in the neighborhood to read, to see their place reflected in a positive way.
One of the things that I think is most essential about Irrigate is that it really is about the artists that live or work or have some connection to the corridor being the leaders of creating that new narrative, creating these new opportunities. So there's an authenticity to it that is essential. This isn't about some buddy from the outside coming in and trying to drop some identity or brand or some activity onto the community and say, oh, here, you should do this, it'll be great. It's actually the community members themselves generating the ideas and the activities and the things that are happening themselves.